everybody, welcome to another video. My name is Infiniti and today I am here to bring you guys a special tutorial. So if you guys remember back, I think it was mid-August, I released my Airways shawl pattern over in my Etsy store. And I said back then that I would do a video tutorial on how to do that written pattern. So today here it is. I am going to be showing you guys how to crochet the Airways shawl. It is a super easy and beginner pattern, and when you get done you have a product much like this one. I'll probably pop some pictures up on either side. I went outside and got some pictures taken of it, and it's perfect for either a shawl, or you can use it as a cowl or as a scarf, as I'm using it right now. It's really cold down here in my studio today, so this came in handy. So without further ado, I would like to just jump over to my table and get started with the tutorial. Alright, let's jump into this pattern. So I have a printed off version of my written pattern. If you want to support the channel, this pattern is available in my Etsy store, and I'll leave that linked in the description box below. So as soon as we get past the first couple pages here, the materials needed: you're going to need a crochet hook, you're going to need a worsted weight yarn, which I have. I will be using Loops and Threads Impeccable today in this gray color. And you're going to want your scissors or your snips. I have a pair on either side of me. You're going to want a yarn needle and some fray check. If you don't know what fray check looks like, this is my much beloved bottle. I always complain about rubbing off the name, but it's basically a liquid seam, a liquid stitch. So once you tack down, like once you weave in your ends, you can tack down that end with that stuff and it'll never come apart. Alright, and I have my list of abbreviations. Okay, let's get into the pattern. So this is the pattern. So what we're going to do for this, to start this pattern off, I have a 5.5mm crochet hook. You can use whatever size crochet hook you would like, or one that corresponds with the yarn you are using. This is a relatively beginner pattern, so we should have fun with this today. What we're going to do is chain 6, and then we are going to slip stitch into the first chain to form a ring. So let's move this to the side. And just going to make my slip knot. Alright, and we're going to chain. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then we're going to come down here to this first chain that we just made, and we're just going to insert our hook. We're going to slip stitch into that to form this ring. Now, let's see if I can zoom in just a little bit. Now, for row 1 of this pattern, we are going to be chaining 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And this chain 4 counts as a double crochet plus a chain 1. And what we're going to do is we are going to double crochet into our ring. And I'll be weaving my tail in as I go along today. Alright, now that I've placed my double crochet in that ring, I'm going to chain 1. And then I'm going to yarn over, I'm going to double crochet into my ring again. Chain 1. Now I'm going to double crochet into the ring again. And this time I'm going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. And now I can go back to double crocheting into my ring. Alright, we're going to chain 1, going to double crochet into the ring. Chain 1, double crochet into the ring. We're basically reflecting what we did on the other side. have 4 double crochets on one side, so we need to put one more into the ring over here. And that is the end of row 1. So we have this little triangular shape going on here. And I want to mention early on, this pattern will be having 3 points where we will be expanding. So it'll be here, here, and here. So each row we expand in those areas. Alright, now on to row 2. Alright guys, now we're ready to move on to row 2. For row 2, we are going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and turn our work. Then we're going to yarn over and we are going to double crochet in the base of that chain 4 that we just did. So we're just going to yarn over and do that. Alright, then we're going to chain 1. We're going to yarn over, we're going to double crochet in this very next chain space, like right in here. So if you lay it down, we have these chain spaces. We'll never be working directly into the double crochets in this pattern. So I'm going to yarn over, make that double crochet. Then I'm going to chain 1. Yarn over, double crochet in that next chain 1 space. Again, chain 1. Yarn over, I'm going to double crochet in that next chain 1 space. Okay, I'm going to chain 1 and we are now at our chain 3 space from the previous row. So we're going to yarn over, I'm going to double crochet in there. Chain 1, we're going to double crochet in that same chain 3 space. And now we are going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3, and now we're going to repeat what we did on this side of our triangle. So we're going to yarn over, we're going to double crochet in that chain 3 space, chain 1, yarn over, we're going to double crochet in that same chain 3 space. Now we're going to chain 1, we're going to move over into that next chain 1 space, yarn over, double crochet, chain 1, we're going to double crochet in the next chain 1 space, chain 1, I'm going to yarn over and double crochet in the next chain 1 space, chain 1. Now we are at the end of the row and we are going to be working in the top of this chain 3 from that chain 4 that we did from the previous row. So I'm going to count up 1, 2, 3, and we're going to yarn over and we are going to place a double crochet there, chain 1, and we're going to make another double crochet in that same chain. And this is what the pattern looks like at the end of row 2. Alright, now on to row 3. For row 3, we are going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we are going to turn our work. Alright, and again we are going to yarn over and we are going to insert our hook into the base of that chain 4 we just made. We're going to yarn over and double crochet. Chain 1, going to yarn over and we're going to double crochet in these chain spaces. So by now you should have the gist that this pattern is consisting of double crochets and chain spaces. Like I said, we'll never actually be working directly into the double crochets, so as long as you keep that in mind, you should be okay. Now that we have done our double crochet and we chain 1, we're just going to yarn over and we're going to work in the next chain space available. Chain 1, work into that next chain space, chain 1, gonna work into the next chain space, oops, I forgot to chain 1. Alright, chain 1, work into that next chain 1 space. We're going to chain 1. Now we're going to yarn over and we're going to double crochet into our chain 3 space again. So when we come to these chain 3 spaces, it's always double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and yarn over. Then we're going to double crochet in the chain 3 space, chain 1, make a 4th double crochet in the chain 3 space. Alright, then what we want to do is chain 1, and we're going to work back down the other side of our triangle, yarn over, work into that chain 1 space, chain 1, and so on until you hit the end of the row. And now that we're at the end of the row, again, we're going to look at this chain 4 space from, or this chain 4 from the previous row. We're going to count up 1, 2, 3, and we're going to double crochet into that 3rd chain. With a double crochet, we're going to chain 1 and make another double crochet in that same chain. And this is row 3. So as you can see, it kind of looks like little bird wings, or at least it did to me when I first designed this pattern. Now we're on to row 4. Row 4, we're going to chain 4, going to turn our work, going to yarn over, we're going to work a double crochet in the base of that chain 4. We're going to chain 1, yarn over, double crochet in that next available chain 1 space, chain 1, double crochet into the next chain space. And if you have the written pattern of it with you right now, you'll know that I counted out how many of these spaces that you'd have on the side for row 4. We'll be repeating this 8 times. But if you don't have the pattern, it's okay. That's why I'm kind of going step by step here. Chain 1. Oops. Alright, we're back up here at the peak. Chain 1, double crochet into that chain 3 space, chain 1, double crochet in the chain 3 space. You're going to chain 3, and then we're going to go ahead and double crochet into the chain 3 space again, chain 1, and place that 4th and final double crochet in the chain 3 space. So essentially each row you're expanding 8 stitches, which is really interesting. Okay, chain 1, and then we're going to start working in these chain 1 spaces to the end. Alright, now that we've reached the end, we're going to count up those 3 chains. 1, 2, 3. And we're going to insert our hook in that third one, and we're going to do a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. Alright, and that is the end of row 4. Row 5, again, it's worked very similar to all the other rows. So we're going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Turn our work. We are going to work in the base of that chain 4. Yarn over, pull up a loop. Again, that chain 4 counts as a double crochet plus a chain 1. Alright, now we're going to chain 1, and we're going to double crochet in this first available chain space. Chain 1, double crochet in the chain space. For this row, you end up with 11 double crochets in these chain 1 spaces. So I'll show you what I'm talking about in just a second. Alright, so if you have the written pattern, I specify after you do this beginning expansion here, you chain your 1 and you do a double crochet. And what happens is we end up with 12 individual double crochets up this side before we hit our next point of expansion, which is up here at the peak. So in the pattern, you know, after I instruct to make this double crochet, I say you repeat this process in particular 11 more times until you reach this point. So that's exactly what I mean by that. If you have the written pattern and you were confused by that, hopefully that gives you some clarity. If not, feel free to hit me up. If you purchase the pattern on Etsy, feel free to message me and I'll be happy to try to explain it better. Alright, now we're going to work into the peak. So I already chained my 1, I'm doing my double crochet in that chain 3 space, chain 1, double crochet, chain 3, double crochet in the chain space. And then I'm going to chain 1, and I'm going to do 1 more. So you should have a total of 4 double crochets in each chain 3 space. Alright, now I'm going to chain 1, and I'm going to work down the other side until I reach the end, and I'm ready to do my increase at the end of this row. So I'll meet you guys back when I am ready for row 6. Alright, row 6. Row 6. I've already chained my 4, and I'm going to turn my work, and I'm going to yarn over, and I'm going to do my double crochet at the base of that chain 4. I'm going to chain 1. I'm going to yarn over and double crochet in that first available chain space. Alright, and we'll be repeating this 14 more times until we get to the peak of this pattern. So I'm going to chain 1 and just start that repeat. One fun fact about this pattern, when I was sitting up designing it, I was so afraid that it would veer up so much, because as you can see, it has this type of dramatic swoop going on in the center where you're supposed to wear it. But because of the weight of it, depending on the yarn you use now, because of the weight of it, it ends up being just fine in the end, which you can definitely see in the examples where I'm wearing one or have it displayed on a mannequin. And I've been wanting to do a gray one for so long, and I'm like, okay, it's time to do one. So I figured what better way to force myself to work on that than to do a tutorial on it. And this finished product will be available in my Etsy store, so if you want to skip this whole process but you saw this thumbnail and you're like, oh, that's gorgeous, feel free to purchase one over in my Etsy shop. It helps support the channel. Or if you're viewing this on YouTube and you're just kind of making it out and you like my content, feel free to buy the pattern. Again, it supports the channel, it keeps me making, and that is the important part here. Alright, we're at the peak, chain 1. Gonna start double crocheting in that chain 3 space. One, two, three. And I just want to point this out. So I'm going to put a stitch marker here at the point before I start working into my chain 3 space. You should have 15 double crochets coming up the side, not including the expansion that you did, or the increase that you did at the beginning. So 1, 2, 3. Oops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Voila. Alright. And I'm going to remove that because it's going to be in my way in a minute. Alright. I'm going to work on coming down, so I need to put those next 2 double crochets in my chain 3 space. Chain 1, double crochet. Alright, now I'm going to chain 1. We're going to start working back down the side here until we get to the end. And when we get to the end, you guys know we do that increase in the top of that chain 3 from the previous row. And I'll meet you guys back when I am ready for row 7. Alright, row 7, we're going to chain our 4. And we're going to turn our work. Now we yarn over and we insert our hook in the base of that chain 4, yarn over, pull up a loop through 2. I don't know why I'm describing how to do a double crochet. Alright, I'm going to chain 1, and we're going to work in that first chain space. So again, this pattern is very repetitive, and once you get those first 2 to 3 rows down pat, I'd say you have the rest of the pattern. We're just going to work up to the peak here. Feel free to pause the video at any point. I probably should have said that earlier. Work at whatever leisurely pace you'd like. This was something, again, I designed when I wasn't feeling that great, so I just wanted something easy that I could go about doing, something that was repetitive and something I could focus on, and this was definitely it. So this is a pattern that you can get your crochet speed up on. It's also something that you could use for a gift idea because the season is almost upon us. I don't know where the year went. It went super quick, but we are at that point. So I'd be interested in seeing everybody's color combinations as well. So if you should make this pattern, feel free to tag me at Infiniti Crafting Co. on Instagram or Facebook. I would love to see your makes. Feel free to use the hashtag too. I don't mind that. I'm trying to build that up as well. Alright. Alright, now we're on to row 8. Again, we're going to chain that 4. Oops, 3, 4. Turn our work. I'm going to yarn over, insert your hook in the base of that chain 4. We're going to chain, make a double crochet there, and we're going to chain 1, start working in those chain spaces with double crochets. Chain 1. And you should have 21 double crochets leading up to the peak of your shawl. to slow it down there. Like I said, this is a really easy pattern to get your speed up with. As you can probably see, I unconsciously go into super crochet mode and I end up crocheting faster than I need to on camera. So let alone when I'm actually making this at the comfort of my desk. Alright, and this is the end of row 8. So let's see if I can zoom out just a little bit. Cool. So this is what your pattern looks like so far. This is as far as the pattern goes, as far as specific, like detailed, how to make each row. From this point in the pattern, you're just to work rows 9 through 42, continuing to expand in the same 3 spots until you reach your desired size. So I say 42 rows because I like to be swallowed up by my shawls, as you can see in the pictures. But if you want a smaller one, the example that I have, the brown one that I was wearing at the beginning of this video, that one's only 34 rows, so it's entirely up to you. So I'm going to go ahead and work these next 34 rows off camera, and I will show you guys when I come back how to do row 43 of this pattern, which is bordering off the shawl. Alright guys, I am back and I have the size of shawl that I want right now. So in order to move on to row 43, what you want to do is chain 1 and turn your work, which I have already done. And what we're going to do here is we're just going to start single crocheting. So I'm going to single crochet in the base of this chain 1, because that chain 1 does not count as a stitch. And then you're going to single crochet in the chain space that comes after it, and then you're going to single crochet into the actual stitch that comes after that. So this is the only point in the pattern really where you work in the actual stitches of the row. Let me zoom in just a wee bit. I got a lot of fabric here, guys. Now I actually didn't get to do all 43 rows. On my pattern that I have today, I did not feel like playing yarn chicken with this yarn, guys. But again, 43 rows or 42 rows before this row is really optional. Again, it's all a matter of personal preference. Alright. And I'm just going to keep going about doing this until I have finished off this row. Alright, so right now I am at the peak of my shawl and I'm at this chain 3 space. So the instructions in the pattern say to place 5 to 6 single crochet in this chain space. I do that because depending on the size hook you used or the yarn you used, this space may be a little looser for some people than others. It just depends. In working this pattern with different yarns, I have just noticed that different yarns tend to work a little differently. Usually I like to do 5 stitches though in this chain 3 space, but if you want a pointier peak, then you could always put like 6 or 7, something like that in there. Alright, and now that I've done that, I am going to work down this other side, and I will come back to you guys once I have fastened off and sewed in all my ends. Alright, and this is my finished product. I really love this colorway. I had been itching to do my pattern in gray for so long, and I finally had the chance to, and I'm really happy with the way this turned out. I'm probably going to have to order the yarn for it to do another one like this, just to have in my own personal wardrobe, because I just love this pattern so much. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If so, don't forget to leave me a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on future content from me. I plan on doing a couple more project tutorials this year, so I hope you guys will be around to see those. And if you want to support the channel, this pattern, like I said, is available over in my Etsy store. And until next time, guys, happy making.